I want to welcome into our studios John Hancock, who is the new superintendent of Hinton Public Schools. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me today.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. So you've been on the job 2 weeks. I'm sure you've got everything figured out and everything planned now, right?
I've got everything figured out that I don't know anything. I mean, I tell you, it's been good. I've had a chance to meet with our board members and some staff members so that I can learn more about our district and our community, and kind of getting their views on some things that may need to be fixed and some things that don't touch. So I'm learning quite a bit.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in education? Kind of where are you from originally? So
this is my 25th year in education. I chased the coaching dream for most of it. I was a head wrestling coach and assistant football coach for 21 years. Well, no, take that back. 17 years, and then I got into administration. And then prior to that, I was actually Army. I was in the Army for a couple of years, and then I born and raised in Midwest City, Oklahoma. So
all right.
Central Oklahoma, and then kind of took the long way around.
Now, did you coach at Midwest City, or were you in different areas?
I only coached at Monroney. At that time, it was Monroney Junior High. It wasn't middle school for 1 year. But right out of college, I started coaching at Newcastle, and then chasing that dream, went to Oologah, moved to Kansas for a couple of years, and then came back and coached at PC West before I got into administration. So
neat. And you were at Guthrie right before here.
Right before here, I was the executive director of HR and secondary instruction. It was a great job. Taught me quite a bit about personnel and how to make things better. Help find ways to help teachers out, and of course, there's other guidances there as well. But that was part of my job. Is just how can we provide instruments for our teachers and so forth.
Well, so stepping into your first year at Hinton Public Schools, I know you hit the ground running, as you said. There's going to be things that you've had to do. You guys have had some new staffing members, right? New coaches and principals?
We have. This year, along with me coming on, I had the opportunity to hire a new high school principal as well. And then in that movement, we also moved who was the current high school principal back down to the middle school where he had been previously for a few years. And then not only that, but we've brought in a new football coach coming in, Matt Lane. He's coming to us from Putnam City. And then Coach Kalmus is I think we pulled him from, I believe, Binger to coach baseball. So,
neat.
So we've got a couple new coaches, and my thing to them is, guys, just give us a chance, give us some stability for more than a couple years so that our kids can build that trust and our programs can start excelling again.
Well, and historically, Hinton has been really good in sports. It's just, unfortunately, the last couple of years, you haven't had the same coaches in place for, like, football especially, right? So that creates its own problems, right?
And that's exactly why I asked. I said, guys, we just need some stability. We need some consistency. These kids will work for us if we'll show them that we want to be here for them as well. And so they just need that consistency. And so we're going to push for that.
Well, let's talk about the state of public education. Of course, education had been in the headlines because of the name that shall not be spoken. That was at the top for a while. He's gone. Lindell Fields has been in. Do you think he's kind of calmed things down?
I think he's brought back that peace amongst public schools, and the division that may have been there towards other things. He's been very beneficial for us. Even like whenever the legislation put in like the recess law on the for 40 minutes. Schools had already created their calendars and basically prepared for the 26-27 school year, and then they come in with this law. Well, a lot of schools started scrambling on, okay, now how do we implement this and have enough minutes or hours in our school year? So he was very beneficial in stating, yes, it says 40 minutes. We will count 20 minutes this year as instructional time so that schools didn't have to automatically jump out and extend the school day at the last minute. So it gives us a full year to implement or have conversations on how are we going to meet the 40 minutes or non-instructional time in our school day.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was opposed to more recess, but that's what happens a lot of times. Legislation is passed. They don't think about, well, what does that look like? And I know some schools are adding hours to their school day right now,
right.
aren't they?
Yes, they are. And, it's funny. Yesterday on my way home, my wife actually came out to the office. She hadn't been out there yet. And we were having a conversation with my son, who's he's older. He's graduated 12 years ago anyway. And he was like, 40 minutes. I mean, he was like, Dad, why are we extending the school day? He was like, these kids have enough problems trying to concentrate in the time that they're there. And I said, well, but at the same time, son, if you could break up that recess, that gives them that mental break. Maybe they come back in and they can refocus. And he was like, okay, that makes a little bit of sense. Of course, he's the kid that has ADHD and so forth. And he was like, I can see that. He was like, probably still take me an hour to get calmed back down from recess. But, and so there is a benefit there. And, we always talk about healthy and fit schools. We have these committees to make sure that we're doing things. So, it's kind of good to see them put their money where their mouth is and say, all right, let's make sure that this gets implemented. Some of the things, though, where it creates other issues is, well, now you've created some, you're telling us we've got to spend certain time on math and, and reading and so forth. So it's like we still have some other subjects that we still have to work on. And that's communication with our legislators and things like that.
Now, are most schools I think at the very lower grades, they have like 2 recesses, right? So it'd be 2. But some of the grades, like I think my kid in 4th grade this year just had 1 recess. So are they going to make 2 recesses for pre-K through 5th grade, or will it just be like 1 longer recess for the older kids?
That's kind of a local control.
Okay.
For example, I would still, with our policy, I think our elementary is still going to go with they're still going to do the 20 and 20.
Okay.
Lunchtime and then kind of give a break. But at our middle school, because our middle school does have 5th grade in it, and remember, it goes all the way through 5th grade.
Right.
So our middle school is trying to figure out how they're going to implement it so that they get that time. And that's still in a conversation. Even this week is what are we going to do to create that time? Because that also messes with the schedule for our 6th and 7th graders in the building as well. So What do we do during that time so that those students can get their recess?
And it also, I would imagine, scheduling issues, because when some kids are at recess, certain teachers get their break time or their lunch time during that. Others have to watch recess, right?
And that's completely correct. And that's where, and I'll just throw this out there where it's nothing that we're for sure doing, but that was part of my, okay, well, do we make that 20 minutes? Yeah, we can go 20 minutes after lunchtime. We can call that, but okay, so maybe we create a remediation time for 20 minutes for our 6th and 7th grade while those 5th graders are on there. And so those students that may be struggling or whatever, and it may not be, maybe it's a reward time as well, as these kids can go get other rewards for, or I don't want to say free time, but some improvement in other ways during that time. So
interesting. Well, you guys are figuring it out. That's the most important thing, and you may have to adjust a little bit next year, you said, right?
And yeah, I mean, next year, that's the big thing, talking about extending, this year, like I'd said, Superintendent Fields helped us out by doing that. So next year we may have to look at, pardon me, we may have to look at extending the school day so that we can fit that 40 minutes in there for a full day, and Hinton tends to be one of those schools that also falls under the new law that goes into effect at 173 school days. Right. So we've got to talk about the extending of our school year and how are we going to fit those other 7 instructional days into our schedule as well.
Let's just tell the kids that it's year-round school for them, right?
We can tell the kids. It's my teachers that I got to worry about.
Teachers are not like that, absolutely, without a doubt. We're talking with John Hancock. He is the new superintendent of Hinton Public Schools. Some of the other new changes this year, we have the 3rd grade. It's the Strong Readers Act, so there is a possibility of some 3rd graders being, retained to repeat that grade if they don't meet certain benchmarks, right?
Well, and that's in there, and it's been in there for a while. It got a little more strength or teeth put into it again this year, but that has been in there for a while. It's been kind of local control on the parents also being able to decide as well. And I think it just puts in a little more strength for the school district to be able to say, okay, but look, your student is struggling and they're not passing, and we do need to work on this. With the help, trying to find help for these students so that they are prepared for later on, because we all know that you've got to read and comprehend and move forward with that. And, so many times we've gotten to where technology is beneficial in many ways, but we've also found that technology is also hurting our students in being able to grasp some of the concepts needed to learn. So.
Well, and with that in technology, and we've got a news story where Clinton Schools was talking about whether they're going to switch from star reading to Amira. I know Weatherford implemented Amira last year. What do you guys use at Hinton?
We're still using Star,
okay.
Renaissance, and then we also use the IXL platform to help us out on that, which is just a growth platform, but it's for our benchmarks. It still helps track it. And that's one thing that whenever I hired a high school principal this year, I said, all right, kind of tell me how you're going to track data. And it's different in high school, I know, but It's just getting that mind frame with our teachers. Hey, let's track the data. Where are our kids struggling in? Is it a whole grade situation or is it a classroom situation? Because sometimes, teachers may feel like they're teaching something, but until you look at the data and you go, okay, maybe I missed that grasping of phonics, or maybe I didn't teach that as well as I thought I did. I need to go back and do it. So it's just getting our teachers to look at the data.
All right. Our guest is John Hancock. He is the new superintendent of Hinton Public Schools. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more right after this.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from Big Wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250. Say Mike Rowe and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250. Say Mike Rowe and let the savings begin.
When you're making decisions as important as choosing home health or hospice for a loved one, it's important to ask the right questions. Are they locally owned? Are they proven through years of successful business practices? If necessary, can you transition from home health to hospice with the same care given? You can find all this and more at your locally owned Shepherd Home Health and Hospice. They've been serving Clinton and the surrounding area since 2006 with dependable, local, and reliable care. Shepherd Home Health and Hospice of Clinton. Call today.
Hi, this is Heston Wright, owner of Wright Media. I've had the privilege of helping hundreds of local businesses grow, and I've learned one thing. People do business with companies they know, trust, and remember. That's exactly what radio does. While other advertising competes for a quick click or gets lost in the crowded social media feeds, radio builds commitment. It reaches people in their cars, at work, around the house, and throughout their day. In fact, radio reaches more than 90% of adults every week. When your message is heard consistently, your business stays top of mind. And when your customer needs your product or service, they're much more likely to think of you first. At Wright Media, we don't just sell commercials. We help businesses grow. We'll work with you to create a marketing plan that fits your budget, your goals, and your business. I would love the opportunity to earn your trust and your business. Give me a call today and let's talk about how radio can work for you. Your customers are listening. Shouldn't your business be heard?
Escaping that summer heat can seem impossible. Is your unit working overtime to keep your home cool? Call Southwest Air and Heat, your local Lennox dealer in Weatherford. Southwest Air and Heat and Lennox are the trusted and experienced names for air conditioning in western Oklahoma. No matter the make or model, Southwest Air and Heat can service it. Call 772-8000. That's 772-8000. Perfect air, unmatched care. That's Southwest Air and Heat, your local Lennox dealer in Weatherford.
Wright Media is your Western Oklahoma home for sports.
Sully dead under, takes the football, hands it off to Hill, straight up the middle, breaks into the secondary, he's across the 40.
Covering Weatherford, Clinton, Sayre, Thomas, Hydro, Eakley, Watonga, and Southwestern Oklahoma State University.
There's Shelby, pressures on, sets up the screen, catches made the numbers, left side, it's Toscos up to the 40-45 midfield.
You can watch every play, live or on demand at Wright.media. Wright Media is also your Western Oklahoma home for news and entertainment. With 5 FM and 2 AM stations, you get live, award-winning news, weather, and sports updates from local personalities.
Mainly it's just cloudy and cooler today with that north wind.
101.7 The Morning Zoo with Drew.
Even in the middle of Bedlam, did you hear me? God,
I did. I saw it. I was there.
And let's not forget about the West Oak Weekly with its 5,000 readers per week. Wright Media is your Western Oklahoma home because Wright Media is Western Oklahoma. See why at Wright.media.
Welcome back to the Western Oklahoma Wake Up Show, 726. Todd Bruder and new superintendent of Hinton Public Schools, John Hancock, joining us. You know, we were just kind of touching on technology. One of the other rules that came through this year from the legislature is limiting screen time. So, of course, every classroom usually has an iPad or a Chromebook, and I guess we've relied on those maybe a little more since COVID. I think we use that more. How's that going to change this year?
You know, I think this is I think it's a positive aspect for our legislators. Like I stated, you know, so much screen time is kind of cut down on our students' learning, you know, and there's even been, it's crazy to think, national studies on this that from every year or every generation, we, for the longest time, the capacity of thinking and creations and so forth, we were growing. Well, once we implemented technology in the school, we've kind of been on a decline in that thinking and so forth. So I'm happy to get back and say, hey, let's get back to the old pen and paper, make kids write down, because when you write something, it sticks with you more. And it's like I used to tell my students or my athletes whenever they're creating goals, I said, don't just say it. I said, go home, write it, and then put it on a mirror so that you can write it, read it, and say it. And that way it'll continue to be refreshed. So I think it's a great thing to limit, you know, is it going to affect our classrooms? Well, originally, they brought it out, technology. Let's use technology because it'd be a little more. We'd save trees whenever we were doing all these testing and things like that, and we would get our test results back. I still want to say I'm still waiting for our test results to get back before September so our teachers can prepare, But I think that it's going to be very beneficial for our students, and it'll help bring our learning back.
I love getting back to pen and paper, even though I love technology and some of the things it does. But I can just tell you, I work with some 20-somethings here. You should see their handwriting. I can tell that they grew up on Google Chrome books and stuff like that.
You're like, yeah, can you sign your name? And they're printing it. No, I need it signed, please.
Exactly. No, but it's great. But there's that mix, right? Because we live in a world of technology. I mean, it's amazing what you and I have on our phones now. But I'm so old school. I mean, it's not like we're going to bring mimeograph machines back to schools, right? And they're going to remember that smell.
Well, and it's like the other day we were talking. I was talking with a friend, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to laugh at Miss Cahill, who told us, well, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket every day." Oh, but Miss Cahill, I do have a calculator in my pocket every day, and it's always charged.
That's right, without a doubt. Well, once again, it's always creating that balance, and I know that's something that you guys are working on. But talk about Hinton Schools, obviously just being in there the last couple of weeks. I know you'll have enrollment for new students coming up. What are the numbers looking at this year?
Right now, it appears we're at about 650 students, which is down about 60 students. And, whenever we go talking about that, not that we want to dwell on anything, but whenever you start talking that you lost 60 students, then we got to start talking about budget cuts because, 60 students means there's money there. Not that that's a tough conversation, but that's things that schools are having to look at now, and it's not just Hinton. Schools throughout the nation, as well as Oklahoma, the birth rate has declined, and so therefore numbers are declining, and so money in that aspect is declining. But it's I think we're going to be okay. No, we're not looking at any reduction in force or anything like that, but that's something that we're going to have to watch this year as we move through the 26-27 school year. With our teachers and everything, we are finally fully staffed as of this Monday. The board will approve. Hopefully, we'll approve one of our last hires or a couple of hires, and we'll go from there.
When's the first day of school for you?
The first day for the students is going to be on the 13th.
Okay.
Thursday the 13th. Our teachers will report back on August 10th, do their professional developments for those first couple of days, and then we're going to kick off running fast.
It'll be here before you know it. Of course, we're super excited because you have graciously allowed us to add Hinton Athletics to our Right Media Network. So we're going to be live streaming your football and basketball games this year. We're super excited.
We're super excited too. I was reaching out there for a bit and trying to find teachers that would create a media class so that we could get our students involved, and that's still not out. But so I'm excited to get some people in there so that we can have some good color commentating and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Well, thanks so much. It's very, very fun to meet you finally, talk person to person, and I hope you'll come back and be a guest time and time again.
Yes, I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be at Hinton. I think this is going to be a great change, even though some people get scared of change. If you're ever around, just come and see me. Doors always open. I have no problem having conversations.
Excellent. John Hancock, he's the new superintendent of Hinton Public Schools. Stick around.